Nobody warned me that spiritual awakening would make my life harder, that it would strip away the career I'd built, the relationship I thought was permanent, the version of myself that I'd spent decades constructing. Nobody told me it would ask me to stand in front of the mirror with nowhere left to hide and answer one question. Who are you actually? I thought awakening was going to bring peace, and it did eventually, but first it brought honesty. The most brutal, necessary, liberating honesty that I've ever experienced. And the peace that came after that honesty, honestly, it's nothing like the peace I thought I was looking for. I'm Anne Varney. I've been in this work for over 20 years, 30 years an entrepreneur. I've experienced the full spectrum, the collapse, the rebuilding, the spiritual gifts that deny, or should I say, defy rational explanation, and the life on the other side that I never could have designed from who I used to be. I'm 57. I travel the world solo. I run a global spiritual business, and I'm going to tell you the truth about what awakening actually is. In this video, I'm going to tell you what spiritual awakening actually does, not what you've been sold, why it gets harder before it gets better, why it's not a problem, and what real soul level honesty actually unlocks in your life. This isn't comfortable, but it's true. So if you're in this right now, this is what it feels like. You start noticing things that you didn't notice before. The relationship you could hold now feels impossible to stay in. The work that used to be fine now feels completely off. You see the patterns, you see the dynamics, the ways you've been participating without even realizing it. And the hardest part, you can't unsee it. You know, when we are awakened, we expect to have, oh, we've got signs, we've got synchronicities, it's all exciting, something's shifting. You expected that peace to arrive, a sense of knowing a new chapter, but instead, what's there is restlessness, dissatisfaction, the old life starting to feel like a costume that you feel suffocated in and you can't take off. Here's what's actually happening. The relationships that you could once sustain, they now feel impossible to pretend in. You stop pretending. Work that was fine for years, it now feels completely out of alignment. And then you see the dynamics now, the patterns, the manipulation that you once participated in unconsciously becomes conscious. And you can't unsee it. And that is its own kind of anguish. And let's be honest, loneliness ensues because you're trying to be more truthful and people are uncomfortable with it. Saying no, where you used to always say yes, naming things that were never named. That's friction is real. The loneliness is real. And nobody tells you that waking up means being honest in rooms that really preferred you to sleep. And here's what I want you to understand about this. Every piece of discomfort you're experiencing right now is only information. Your soul's not punishing you, it's talking to you. And it started talking honestly the moment you stopped pretending. And here's the misconception. We're taught awakening is arrival when it's actually an excavation. It doesn't come in and give you a better life. It removes what was never real. It's a destruction. It's like the tower card. So something true can actually be built. Social media shows the bliss, but not the demolition, not that destruction. Peace isn't absent. Peace isn't the absence of difficulty. It's the ability to face difficulty without collapsing. And here's the honest truth here about awakening. Awakening first removes what was never true, and that feels like loss. It really does. Because you lose a part of yourself, and you can't build anything real on false foundations. So the false foundation has to go. Challenges are not punishments. Your soul choose them. That your curriculum. You know, the challenges are chosen by your soul, not forced by life. This is not spiritual bypassing. It is the deepest Accountability there is. And that's not comforting. That's accountability. The decision for me to leave a 10-year relationship and solo travel, continuing after it, there was still there was a grief of losing someone, even though it was my choice. That was real and wrong at the same time. The honesty required, not just with the other person, but with myself. What awakening level honesty costs and what it unlocks. The gift is inside the difficulty. On the other side of every layer of honesty, there is more capacity, and more capacity to hold truth without you flinching, being able to say no without you flinching, and more capacity to see others clearly and still love them. The peace that follows real honesty is not fragile, it's structural. And here's what the honest path of awakening actually looks like. In stages, what makes sense once you see them? So you've got the first stage. There's always a whisper before the destruction. It always starts with a whisper, a feeling, a nudge, something not quite right. And most people ignore this. I know I've certainly ignored it many times to my disadvantage because the whisper gets louder and eventually it becomes destruction, whether you listen to it or not. If you listen to it at the beginning, it's not as bad, the destruction. But if you just keep ignoring it, the destruction is like that tower moment. Yeah. And most people ignore that whisper. Then the whisper, it becomes a shout. Yeah. So we hear the whisper, and then there's a destruction before the full download of creativity of person purpose evolves. This is a cycle. It's not a mistake. It's not punishment. It's escalation. So what do you do when you hear the whisper? You honor it before the destruction does it for you. Give you another prime example. I just won Scottish Design of the Year. Same year, bankruptcy. The whisper that something wasn't sustainable. I had it for 2 years, at least 2 years. I ignored it. No, by God, did that destruction follow. But what was rebuilt on the other side and how that rebuild was only possible because the original structure came down completely. And then as you've got your next stage, the honesty that counts, that costs something. Yeah? At some point, honesty costs you something, whether it be a relationship, a career, an identity. And this is where most people stop because the price is real. They retreat back. They stay safe in that life. But so is freedom on the other side. The relationship, the career, the identity, the story you've been telling about yourself. The price is real. But the freedom on the other side of paying it is also real. And it's bloody liberating. It really is. And this is not a spiritual bypassing. This is actual alchemy. And then we go into the next stage, discovering what you're actually made of. Oh, and boy, have I been tested in situations where there was no control, no escape, no plan. And what showed up, it wasn't panic, it was stillness. That's when you know the work is real. Your skills, your gifts, your capacity is tested in real conditions, not theoretical ones. When I was trapped on a snow-capped mountain, 13,000 feet in Nepal, 6 miles from Tibet at a Buddhist monastery, no way down because there was a big, huge earthquake. We made the newspapers. What was discovered in that moment, it wasn't panic, but there was a deep stillness that proved that what years of spiritual work had actually built. Credibility isn't from certifications, although certifications have their own place. It's from being tested in conditions most people never encounter. And then we go in the next stage, the life that emerges from honesty. Once that false foundation clears, you don't build a better life, you build a truer one. Work that is an expression of what you actually are, not what you performed. Relationships built on truth. Fear become immovable. A freedom that doesn't depend on external conditions being perfect. You know, spiritual awakening made my life more honest. It stripped every performance, every safety net that really wasn't real. Every relationship built on a version of me that was never fully true. And what I found underneath all of it was someone I could actually live as permanently, because that's what it's for. So you know exactly what you think without needing approval. You know, nothing is left unsaid because everything true has been said. Your work comes from you've lived, not from what you've learned. And your life isn't perfect, but it's bloody real. And your nervous system knows it. Yeah? Spiritual awakening didn't give me peace by making life easier. It gave me peace by making me honest. And that honesty cost me things I thought that I needed. And it gave me a life I couldn't have created from who I used to be. And if you felt yourself in this, come and step into the Spiritual Awakening Academy. It's free, it's on school, and it's where people stop pretending and actually start living this. Links below. Hopefully, I'll see you there. And just remember this, every piece of discomfort you're feeling right now is information. Your soul isn't punishing you, it's talking to you. And it started talking honestly the moment that you stop pretending.